The NASCAR offseason is here, which means the lawsuit takes center stage. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove, presented by Tableau TV. I promise the lawsuit won't be the only topic of conversation the next few weeks. In fact, last night was the NASCAR Awards banquet this year held in Phoenix, Arizona. Chase Elliott won Most Popular Driver for the 8th consecutive year, holding off Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, and Denny Hamlin in no particular order. I saw a stat on social media that said someone named Elliott or Earnhardt has won every Most Popular Driver award since 1990. Is that correct? I gotta check that for myself. Yeah, Elliott, then it was Dale Jr., then Bill Elliott, then Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, went back and forth. Darrell Waltrip, 1990, the last non-Earnhardt, non-Elliott to win Most Popular Driver. And then before DW, it was Bill Elliott again for a few years. My goodness. Justin Allgaier and Rajah Caruth won Most Popular Driver for their respective series. So 2025 looking a lot like 2024 in that regard. But it was, in my opinion, Jesse Love and Connor Zilisch who stole the show last night. For the final time in 2025, it's time for our Xfinity Series Race Rewind presented by Tableau TV. But now, since we've already done a full recap video from this past weekend's race at Phoenix, consider this more of a season rewind. My big takeaway here at the end of the year is that Jesse Love took a huge step this season. I thought his championship speech last night was well done, felt honest, was moving, plenty of raw emotion. But on the track this season, while sure, he came nowhere close to Connor Zilisch's on-track record this season, Jesse Love still took a very nice step forward and reminded everyone that he is very much a legitimate future Cup Series prospect. Just compare his sophomore season to his rookie season. One more win this year, arguably two more wins. He got DQ'd at Rockingham. More top fives, more top tens, a better average finish, obviously a better points finish. I saw a self-motivated Jesse Love this year. He discussed this at Phoenix, how difficult mentally it was to go from dominating the ARCA Menard series, one of Toyota's next big things, one of the next great prospects, break into the Xfinity series, win in your rookie season, to go from that to suddenly being outshined by his good buddy, Connor Zilisch. Here comes Zilisch, 10 wins, setting rookie season records. Suddenly that spotlight that may have been shined on Jesse Love was being shined on Connor Zilisch instead. Jesse Love talked about how Connor Zilisch's success, his greatness, motivated him to be better.
I sat down one day and I was like, well, I can't control, what Connor does, right? But I can control what I do. And every day I woke up and he's motivated me to be better, right? Because I don't like losing to him. And I've woke up every day trying to beat him, probably, more than myself. I'm not going to have Connor to compare myself to next year, so I'm going to have to change that mindset pretty quick.
Richard Childress Racing equipment, very good in the Xfinity series. It's not as consistently good as Junior Motorsports equipment. But that race at Phoenix, while I don't agree that it should have decided the full season championship, was Jesse Love's best performance to date. To make the right adjustments, to stay focused even though the start of the race did not go well for them, to perform under that pressure. I know we gawk at Connor Zilisch, 19 years old. Jesse Love is only 20 years old, a very young driver himself. I love seeing young drivers like that show progress. Jesse Love did not have the best overall 2025 Xfinity Series season, but he did show great progress, and I'm excited to see what his next evolution looks like next season. It's also good to know that Jesse Love and Connor Zilisch haven't let the emotions of championship weekend come between them, it seems. Here they are last night on stage, leading the crowd. Oh, okay, sorry, I got caught up in the moment. Big shout out to Tableau TV for sponsoring the show this final leg of the season. Tableau is an over-the-air TV tuner that allows you to watch, rewind, and record live TV. It's a one-time purchase, no subscription needed. It's easy to set up. Just attach the antenna, scan for local channels, and boom, within minutes you are ready to watch TV. Great way to catch the NASCAR Xfinity Series broadcasts on the CW all year long. Any other NASCAR races on Big Fox, Big NBC as well. Thank you to Tableau TV for sponsoring Out of the Groove. All right, now we need to spend a few minutes breaking down the latest legal developments. 2311 and Front Row just scored a pretty huge legal victory over NASCAR. So over the past many months, NASCAR has attempted to argue that they are not a monopoly because the race teams are free to compete in other major racing series like IndyCar, F1, NHRA, while the teams have argued that stock car racing is its own separate industry, separate market, and that NASCAR does have a monopoly over stock car racing. 2 weeks ago, there was a summary judgment hearing. Judge Kenneth Bell threw out NASCAR's counterclaim that the teams illegally conspired against them. And yesterday, Judge Bell once again sided with the race teams. In his latest summary judgment ruling, Judge Bell defined the market as premier stock car racing. As Bob Pockrass, Fox Sports, explains here, it means that the argument that the teams could go and race in other series or own teams in other sports is moot. In other words, now NASCAR can no longer argue that 2311 and Front Row could just go run IndyCar instead. The trial in December will now focus on a narrower definition of premier stock car racing, the stock car racing market, and the jury will have to determine if NASCAR has monopoly power in that market and if they use that power to the detriment of the race teams. Now, I am no antitrust expert, but my gut feel is that NASCAR will have a difficult time arguing that they aren't a monopoly in the stock car racing market. Whether they've used that power to hurt the teams, illegal, that may be a different argument. But when you think stock car racing, you think NASCAR. NASCAR owns ARCA, one of the few other stock car competitors. They also own IMSA, a major sports car series. NASCAR also owns many historic racetracks: Daytona, Talladega, Martinsville, Darlington, etc. NASCAR designed the next-gen car, and the race teams must purchase many parts and pieces from NASCAR-approved suppliers. NASCAR manages much of the media now, too. MRN, or now NRN, is owned by NASCAR. NASCAR's deal with SiriusXM. Shoot, their new production facility. Every Xfinity Series broadcast this year was produced by NASCAR. The CW was more of just a distributor. So this legal development is huge, and a huge win for 2311 and Front Row Motorsports. Because if we narrow down the market from motorsports to simply stock car racing, NASCAR utterly dominates that market. That's just a fact. Now, the teams will still have to prove they've been harmed by NASCAR, so while this ruling likely helps the teams, it's not the end-all be-all by any means. Bob Pockrass shared some of the reasoning behind Judge Bell's decision. Apparently, NASCAR kind of played themselves. In an attempt to show that the race teams have power, NASCAR argued that they could not reasonably substitute IndyCar or F1 teams for Cup teams. So now Judge Bell is saying, well, if IndyCar teams are an unreasonable replacement for NASCAR teams, then wouldn't it be unreasonable to tell NASCAR teams that they could easily take their business to IndyCar instead? In their counter-arguments, NASCAR made a distinction between stock car racing and other forms of motorsport, so the judge is essentially using NASCAR's argument against them in this case. NASCAR did release a statement yesterday. They said, quote, "NASCAR looks forward to proving that it became the leading motorsport in the U.S. through hard work, risk-taking, and many significant investments over the past 77 years. The antitrust laws encourage this, and NASCAR has done nothing anti-competitive in building the sport from the ground up since 1948. While we respect the court's decision, we believe it is legally flawed, and we will address it at trial and in the Fourth Circuit if necessary. NASCAR believes in the charter system and will continue to defend it from 2311 and Front Row's efforts to claim that the charter system itself is anti-competitive." Again, NASCAR makes the argument that 2311 and Front Row are the ones jeopardizing the charter system. And NASCAR is correct, I think, in saying that. I skimmed some of the old documents, and the teams have referred to NASCAR's anti-competitive terms in the past. And Bob Pockrass also shared this footnote from the most recent ruling that says, quote, "There is also evidence in the record from which the jury and or court could conclude that the charter agreements themselves are anti-competitive restraints on trade with respect to Cup Series aspirants who don't have charters." So yes, while maybe not likely, there is a potential outcome that could see the charter system get dismantled. Maybe something more team-friendly would take its place, but there's no guarantee. We know that the other NASCAR Cup Series team owners want both sides to settle. I think there's some growing sentiment in the garage that 2311 Front Row are kind of doing this for themselves. They say they want the sport to be healthier for everyone, but I think many of the other team owners are quietly comfortable with the status quo. Again, I'll compare this to college sports, which of course the team's attorney Jeffrey Kessler played an instrumental role in creating the NIL, pay the players era of college sports we are currently in. It's debatable whether the current era of college football specifically is better than the previous era, but if you asked, I don't know, the University of Alabama, I'll bet they would prefer the old era when they could recruit the top talent every single year. Now, with NIL, Texas and Texas A&M are able to pay big bucks to get top recruits to come to them. Alabama, of course, is still very, very good, but they're no longer the juggernaut they were 10, 15 years ago. Think of Alabama as like the Hendrick Motorsports of college football, for example. Hendrick Motorsports, while they claim they have not turned a profit in a decade, current system seems to be going okay for them. They just won the Cup Series championship yet again. So I think there are some NASCAR Cup Series teams that are comfortable with the status quo, want both sides to settle because that probably means a few more team-friendly terms, but they're afraid of this going to trial and potentially imploding completely. The idea of dismantling the charter system and trying to build something different on top of it, that's scary. That's scary to these other team owners that, again, are more or less comfortable with the status quo. So we know the teams want both sides to settle, and we know that NASCAR desperately wants to settle this, probably more so after yesterday's ruling. So that's the question going forward. Going into the rest of this month, the trial is scheduled for December 1st. We are 4 weeks away, give or take. All the talk over the past couple of years of who has the leverage, yeah, it's safe to say that 2311 and Front Row have the most leverage right now. Are they willing to see this all the way through to December and whatever happens, happens? Or will they be able to strike a deal with NASCAR in the coming weeks? Will NASCAR be willing to make additional concessions? Because at this point, that's probably what it's going to take. We will have to wait and see. It's fascinating, however. Just wanted to touch on that. Big update this week. First week of the offseason, already major court case updates. Let me know your reaction down in the comment section below. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more NASCAR news, rumors, content, commentary all year long. Maybe the off season, but as you can tell, the videos won't be slowing down all that much. Really appreciate your support. Tonight, I'm streaming live, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We've got our end of year grades for every Cup Series driver. That's coming out soon. Also want to give a shout out real quick. Landon met a fan at Phoenix this weekend. He gave me this really awesome wood laser carved Matt Kenseth token. Check it out. Can y'all see that? You got his 2009 Daytona win. dream 2013 season. This is awesome. I was unpacking today, and Landon, I'm going to find a spot for this here on my desk somewhere. I wanted to give Landon a shout out. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll catch you again real soon. Have a great rest of your day. See you tonight.